you guys think of when you think of the entertainment industry? Do we think of red carpets, designer clothing, fame, money, influence? Do we think of certain celebrities like the Kardashians, J-Lo, Beyonce, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt? Now, what would you do if someone not only highlighted the good, but also the bad? Do we deem that person controversial? Do we see it as attention seeking? Do we see it as somebody complaining, which is what most of the time anyone who speaks up is viewed as? Now, what if that person did not wait, like a lot of celebrities that we know of that went through a lot of difficulties in their careers? A lot of times those people are under contracts, they have to stay silent, or they're scared they're gonna lose everything that they've built. They're gonna lose connections. They're not gonna have great public image anymore. And 20, 30 years later, they're coming out with the truth of it all. But by then, they would have already had to deal with the trauma by themselves. They would have had to go through those things alone, feeling misunderstood, feeling like what they're doing is not really how they envisioned their careers and their life to be. Now, what if there was someone who was fearless, who said, regardless of all the scrutiny, regardless of what bad can happen, what if there's a person who wanted to see if something great could possibly come of it? What if that person wanted to use the voice that they had? They wanted to use their experiences for good. They wanted to somehow revolutionize and change an industry that they worked so hard to be a part of. If you met this person, what would you think? Would you cheer them on? Would you think that this was all for clout, for views, clickbait? Or would you kind of view it as, maybe this is what the industry needs? Well, I'm here to tell you that that person, it's gonna be me. Hey guys, my name is Priscilla Moy, and welcome to my little channel. First and foremost, let me tell you who I am, why any of this matters, and what to expect from this new channel. Whether you as a viewer are in the industry or you're not in the industry, I think I want to make it clear that I want to give as much insight, knowledgeable insight, into what it really is at the level that I'm currently at. For the past 15 years, I have been a fashion model, a film, TV, and commercial actress. I hold a BFA in acting and a minor in theater dance from Illinois Wesleyan University. And for the past year, I just had my anniversary in October, I have become a TV and red carpet host. We do movie premieres, we do festivals, we do awards, things like that. And 2 of my shows are streaming, and one is me interviewing people and the other is talking about topics with 2 other co-hosts. Now, my journey has been everything but easy, glamorous, without stress. I am Chinese American, so that puts me in the Asian American, AAPI category, and I'm also petite. Now, I am not model height. I am not nowhere near what models are deemed to look like. I am very, very petite, and automatically those 2 things, ethnicity and my stature, are 2 big things that have hindered me a lot upcoming and even currently, actually. So everything about me and what makes me me is something that the industry has never wanted and probably really doesn't now if you really break it down. I go through a lot of harassment, a lot of bullying, even when I already get the job, even on sets. Not only from the people that you would deem in charge, like crew, agents, etc., but also sometimes majority of it comes from fellow talent, the other actresses or actors on set, or other models, or whatever it may be. Now, it took me a little bit to kind of use these experiences that I've gone through to see it in a positive light, because they're happening every day, every single day. I don't know if it's ever going to end, because I just accepted that about myself and my life, but it's actively happening. And the few people that I do trust have kind of given me an insight onto why it would be a great idea to tell the world of these situations. Now, they're not going to be little situations like, oh my God, like, yeah, I didn't get that one job and like, ugh, screw them. It's not like that. A lot of these situations were really traumatic, and I realized I had to deal with them a lot by myself. I've learned so much about people the longer that I have been in this industry. And if you could do the math, I did say that I've been doing this for 15 years now, and I've already graduated with a bachelor's degree. And I'll be proud to say that I am 30 years old as of 2023. So I have experienced a lot in a world where social media wasn't used for business, and then kind of watched how the industry and the world and society had changed since then. And I've also learned a lot about how to navigate as someone of my stature and as my personality has to in order to succeed. With that comes a lot of backhanded relationships, harassment, jealousy, fakeness, superficialness, and the one thing that you'll never be able to learn, no matter if you go to training, you have a mentor, you have managers, agents, is how to hold yourself during those times. Because at the end of the day, sure, that person might be able to give you advice, the other person might be able to distract you for a second, but you go home and you have to deal with this by yourself. How do you go on? How do you go on as someone who feels so hated, so unwanted, never cared about, and use that to continue to push towards your dreams? Especially if, let's just say, it's a slow time and you're not booking. Money's not coming in, but you constantly have to be available and you're never not working. So how do you balance that? How do you focus on your mental health and be strong enough to let all of that go and care about what your end goal is? Now, a lot of my videos that I'm going to be talking about are going to be focusing on not only past situations on jobs, past situations with agencies, with managers, with contracts, with gigs that never ended up becoming a thing, false promises, but it will also gear towards things I've dealt with in my personal life. And the reason why is not because I want to talk about past friends or like all relationships and things like that, but it's because when you do this in this industry, you cannot really separate business and personal life. I think I'm doing better at it. However, when you realize you are someone with a strong personality, such as myself, no matter where you go, even if I were to lie and say I don't do what I do, having that presence, that fighting trait that I always have and have to have every day I walk out of the door affects people. It reels people in real quick, right? And people want a piece of it. They're like, oh my God, I'm drawn to you. I like what you're wearing. I like your style, something about you. I like your energy, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, instantly, I can't handle it. And not in a way that you think. there's a lot of backstabbing, a lot of people whose insecurities are made known the more they hang out with somebody that might not care about social validation, such as myself. And you see how people act and how they treat people that are doing well. And I want to put a disclaimer out. None of these videos are going to include real names of people, real businesses, real company names. I will never show the actual faces of others apart from my own when I do show visuals for proof and for story purposes. And if I ever talk about gender, ethnicity, race, age, or things of that matter, it is not to use it against that person, but more so it's important to the story, which is why I might have to say those things. I don't want this to become a poop talking show. That was, I think, the biggest fear that I had, was this coming off in a way that I don't intend it to be. I want my trauma, I want the journey that I'm going through currently to be of use, to make change. I will be honest with you. The end goal, I do want to be a public figure. I do want to make it to the point of A-lister. I do want to have that influence so that I can look at everybody and say, you guys know my story. You know why I'm doing this. It's not all in vain, but at the end of the day, I did it, right? I want other people, girls and boys that look like me, that feel alone, that feel misunderstood, that feel like they're on the island of misfit toys and they don't know where they belong, if they belong, and why what they look like has to depict their future. I want them to look at me and say, if anyone is going to be on my side, I want it to be her. And I really don't want this to come off as one, like I'm going to repeat, because I feel like it's going to be the main thing. It's going to be tearing other people down. This is not about generating more hate towards these people and moving it onto them. And also, I don't want this to generate more hate for me, because as you guys will start to see, I have been through and going through the ringer, that the last thing I need is to speak my truth and to just kind of get pooped on more. And so I'm being very cautious about how I go about telling these stories. And this is not for clickbait. This isn't just for clout. This isn't me wanting to exaggerate the stories. If anything, I want to tell them in the truth that they are, as much as I can remember and dig up from the past, because a lot of these situations that I'll be telling about are very, very, very traumatic. And a lot of them, for my own personal mental health, I buried in a part of me where I can take from. I can generally be like, yeah, that had happened to me, and avoid that person and the situation again, but I don't actively revisit. So some of these situations, I will tell them in as much honesty, truth, and be as present as I can back in that moment. But the overall goal of this channel is to use what I've been through for good, like I've mentioned. But I also believe that I was put here on this planet, and I will say God, not to put religion into this, but I am a Roman Catholic and I do believe in God, that there's a reason why stuff just one after the other, where I'll take 10 steps forward, everything will be great. And then all of a sudden, 5 seconds later, that same moment, 20 or 30 steps back from someone else is doing. And it's always asking why? Is it me, right? Like I'll come home at the end of the day and you're like, what am I doing wrong? I try to leave the house and live my life in truth and treat people how I would like to be treated. But why at the end of the day, people cannot also give me that same respect? What am I doing, right? Am I the one that's actually unprofessional? Am I the one that's actively doing something to these people where I'm so blind and too in my head that I might not realize? And what I've come to know is that yes, at the end of the day, it is me. But it's not in the way that you guys are thinking. I went to a school with a very, very, very big theater intensive program. And the main thing that they teach you is you always have to be prepared. If you come to class that day or you go to rehearsal that day and you don't have your lines memorized or you don't have your character studied and all this stuff, like they're going to give you hell. So I try to always show up as the most professional version of myself. And even then, I try to get blacklisted from the city that I'm living in. I know for a fact that I'm not the only one that deals with this. A lot of this is the reason why so many people quit. So many people say, hey, you know what? It's about time I throw in that towel. I gotta make a living. I gotta protect my mental health. I don't like who I've become, and I don't like what I've understood this industry to be. It's not about art anymore. And to be honest with you, that is very true. I've experienced all of those feelings, those emotions, and fought against myself to continue to push. Because then when you think about it, I would have gone through everything I've been through for over a decade, paid for 4 years of schooling in this field, just to quit. I know at the end of the day, though, that I would have been self-made and never handed anything. So for me, being a fighter and always having to feel the need to fight for everything, even the smallest gig, to prove myself every single day, because I am the only one that will do that for me. Out of my 9 agencies, hint, that's how many I have, I'm the only one who still will push for myself. Am I gonna let all of that go? Am I gonna live the rest of my life regretting all because I let one person, one situation just get to me that much that I said, you know what? They're right. I suck. All right, all that. You know what? Maybe, I just really. Or instead of really realizing what is making those people do these things to others, not just me, to others, many others. And sometimes what I've realized, and this is going to be the moral of the entire story, is that the better you are, the stronger you need to be, because you will be disliked more than you will be liked. Sure, at the end of the day, everyone's going to ask, well, why do you keep doing it? If you got to get on YouTube and you got to make videos about this happened, it was so hard for me, blah, 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 why do you keep doing it? Well, why does anybody do what they do? Why do you do what you do? Why did you decide to do the career that you chose? So thank you guys so much for watching. If you've been watching this entire time, thank you for listening to me talk and introduce myself a little bit in a way about where this YouTube channel is going. My handle for my social media has been on the screen. And if you guys could please subscribe, that would be amazing. So that way my channel is going to do what I'm intending for it to do, and it can reach as many people as possible. I want to inspire as many of you as I can. I think if I can give you a little bit of hope and confidence that at the end of the day, everything will work out for you as long as you push through it. And the ones that have the most hardships and can overcome those are the ones that will make it to the end. Because sometimes it's way better, because that way you've built up an armor in order for you to lead your life the way that you want to lead it. So I'll see you guys in the next video.